Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Ringside Report. I am Dave Simon, and of course, I am joined, as always, by my good buddies, Freddie Garcia and AJ DeLesio. There's
What?
Fred. Hey, boys. Hey,
What's up,
guys.
homie?
What's up, dudes?
I mean, now you just
Nice
surprised
as
me with a
David.
different, angle.
I know. We got several different camera angles because we also have a special guest that's going to talk a little boxing with us and also talk about the late-breaking Jon Jones, Francis Ngannou news. Jon Jones going on a Twitter tirade. We will get to what Jon Jones is saying.
What's new?
Going completely bananas on Twitter. We will get to that in just a minute. But first, let's welcome back to the show our good buddy, boxing expert, Matt Casavan. What's up, Matt?
Woo!
Hey, Dave, man. How's it going?
There he is. Look at this. All four of us here, four screens. We're looking like the bubbly bunch on AEW with Chris Jericho there. Looking great. I love to see everybody here. We got a lot to get to. We got a lot of MMA to talk about. Not only will we talk about Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou, we're also going to talk about, well, one of the godfathers of MMA, one of the tastemakers in the sport, Joe Rogan, who just cashed in to a $100 million deal for his podcast, and we're going to try and figure out how we can get maybe half that for our podcast.
Forget
that
it.
would be
I
nice.
want it all, Dave. I
Or
want it
double
all.
that. Double that. Yeah, forget that,
Exactly,
AJ. You're right.
man.
Double that.
Screw Joe.
Yeah, well,
Matt,
okay.
Matt, by the
He's
way,
got
you have
100
nice
mil.
hair.
Let's be cool. So we're going to talk about Joe Rogan. We're going to talk about Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. We're going to talk about Anthony Smith, who revealed something this week that surprised me, but I guess makes sense when you look back at his last fight there with Glover Teixeira. And we'll also talk about Alistair Overeem's big win over Walt Harris this past Saturday night in Jacksonville, Florida. And the UFC was supposed to do an event this Saturday. It's not happening. It's not happening. The UFC is not doing a show this Saturday. I thought it was going to happen. It was supposed to happen in Jacksonville, but it's not happening. They're moving it to next Saturday, May the 30th, and we don't know where it's going to be. It's either going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada at the UFC Apex Center, the big complex they have there in Nevada, or it's going to be in the state of Arizona. So we'll try and get to that a little bit later on, and we'll tell you who's going to be on the next UFC card. So no UFC this weekend. Feels weird, right? We had like a week and a half there where it was just like boom, 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 UFC, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, a full week of UFC cards, and now we get a little bit of a reprieve, and we're going to have to wait another week or so for the next UFC card on May 30th. This weekend, though, I do want to give a programming note for everybody watching right now. We will be doing a AEW Double or Nothing watch-along this Saturday, 8 p.m. If you're a pro wrestling fan, this is the place to be. Dave and Johnny live tomorrow. We'll preview AEW Double or Nothing. We'll also talk about the Owen Hart episode of Dark Side of the Ring, then Wrestling Uncensored with some WWE talk on Saturday, and then Saturday night, we're going to be here on the YouTube channel for the AEW Double or Nothing watch-along. So that is coming up this weekend. But first, guys, let's start with Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. There was talk, between Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, right? We were talking about it on the show, and Jon Jones was talking about fighting Francis Ngannou. He said, watching OSP fight Ben Rothwell. I guess that's when it started, right? When OSP was fighting Ben Rothwell. I guess it was a couple weeks ago, right? Was that the co-main event?
It was last Saturday night.
Oh, it was last Saturday, right? Man, it feels like for...
Yeah.
But didn't we talk about Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou last weekend? Like last Thursday on the show?
Well, I think
We've
it's
been
been
talking
out
about
there
him all the
before also, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we were talking about Jon Jones last weekend. But
Wait, if I can interject, Dave, if you can for a second here. I tweeted you on Saturday night, even before Jones and Ngannou started tweeting each other, and I said, how about an interim fight between the two for the heavyweight championship, interim championship, while Cormier and Miocic are waiting. And then you at first were saying, I'm not sure about the weight. It's a big jump for Jon Jones to do that against Ngannou. And then later in the evening, Jon Jones actually himself started hinting at the bottom when rumors started flying. I think that's when the Twitter exchanges have been dominating the last few days or so.
I think what happened was it was on a Wednesday night. That's what happened. It was the Wednesday night fight. That's why we're getting confused, because usually fights are on Saturdays. So it was the Wednesday night when in the co-main event of the Glover and Anthony Smith fight, the co-main event was Ben Rothwell and OSP. It wasn't last Saturday, guys. It was the previous Wednesday. That's why last Thursday we were talking about Jon Jones, because Jon Jones really started it last Wednesday, last Thursday. It's been like a full week of this Jon Jones stuff. So let's start at the beginning here, and I've tracked it down so we can see a little bit. Right, there's Jon Jones, says, man, it was weird seeing OSP fight at heavyweight, made it seem so much more real for me, especially knowing he was at 240 pounds. With a little more cardio, he would have been cherries. I was visualizing myself as him that whole fight. So that's where it started, right? That's where the whole Jones going up to heavyweight started, and, you know, there was talk of Francis Ngannou. I think Jones was maybe talking about Ngannou a little bit when Ngannou fought Jairzinho as well. But Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou have been going back and forth, and this week, over the past 7 days, it seems to have ramped up quite a bit. Because
it's ramped up in the last 15 minutes.
I mean, and just today, you want to get, I mean, let's skip ahead. Let's get to what's happening right now. Let's get to what's happening recently, okay? So Jon Jones, here's a good one. So this is Francis. Hello, Johnny, are you still there? With a picture of him. And then Jones, first, you can save the rest of your tongue pictures for your other homies. And yes, I'm right here, just waking up from watching that Derek Lewis fight again. You ain't scaring nobody. I saw your heart. You're a big old mouse. I'll expose you. So that was on May 20th. That was yesterday. Okay, so that's yesterday.
Can I say Jon Jones is underrated as a trash talker?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He delivers. I love Jon Jones as a trash talker.
Are you kidding?
Well,
that famous
listen.
line, hey, pussy, you still there? You can't beat that. You can't beat that. It's classic.
How do you make sense? How does that make sense that Jon Jones is calling Ngannou an old mouse? And if I'm not mistaken, Jones is older than Ngannou. And Matt, you're going to kind of like this because rumors or talks were with Mike Tyson pumping up Ngannou to up his trash talking game. I was hearing that, and I'm like, man, if Tyson's telling you to put it up, you got to put it up because Ngannou is really
Again, you're misunderstanding, AJ. He's saying
what?
you're a big old mouse. He's not saying you're big and old. He's not calling him an old mouse.
Yeah,
he's not
he's
saying he's
old.
old. It's like, AJ, you're a big old goofball. You know, I'm not saying you're old, even though you are.
I'm going to get you. I can't wait to see you in the studio.
Right?
He's calling him old, Dave.
Calling somebody a big old, whatever. It's not. You're not calling somebody old. I don't even need to explain this to you. You're confused.
I don't know about that.
You're confused.
No. He's calling him old and slow. He's calling him old and slow. And that was his thing.
Right,
he was saying that his counter punches and everything
mice are famously slow. What are you talking about?
According to Jon Jones, when he's not on his speed wagon.
Why you got to go there, AJ?
Can we read the tweet again?
Let me go somewhere.
Yeah, let Fred go. Wait, let's just read the tweet again because AJ seems like he can't read.
What?
He doesn't call him slow. He called him a big old mouse. He didn't call him old. You're just very confused, AJ. AJ is just always confused.
I see old
mouse. Let me go somewhere
and
crazy with this, okay? Let me be the one saying something crazy here. I think this might be the fight I want to see the most right now. This is the most hype fight there is out there. That's like, to me, Jon Jones. First of all, Jon Jones at light heavyweight. Okay, his last fight was kind of tight. Dominic Reyes probably deserves a rematch, but I don't really want to see that. I want to see Jon Jones with some new challenges. Heavyweight makes so much sense, and I'll tell you what, like Ngannou, like if it's not the champion, Ngannou might be the scariest heavyweight out there. One punch could hurt, like finish your career practically. Like so, for Jon Jones to just be trash talking like that to Ngannou, to dismiss him, to kind of like be arrogant and like he's almost saying like to Ngannou, your skills is funny to me. I'm not scared of your skill set. I love it. I want to see it now. Like to me, Jon Jones is delivering on the hype here.
But Dave here and Freddie,
go ahead, Matt.
AJ, I was going to say, in Ngannou, how much did he must have loved hearing and seeing these tweets from Jon Jones getting that call, because he's in a position, he was complaining after his demolition win that he was going to be on the shelf. Now Stipe is in no rush to help out the UFC with their championship fight against Cormier. So Ngannou, he's on the sidelines. There's no other big name heavyweight to wait for. And now if Jon Jones is willing to come up to heavyweight, he must be loving this scenario. He's going to have all the advantages physical on his side. He gets to make the biggest payday he's ever made in his career. But I think, Dave, in your Twitter history, though, there's been some bad news, at least in the last half hour or so, though.
Well,
right? If you're figuring out John Jones.
So this is the latest from John Jones. It doesn't look like the fight that we want to see. I agree with you guys. I think this would be a tremendous fight. This would be great. I would love to see Francis and Jones fight. John Jones doesn't seem like he's really getting the challenges he needs, at least not the big name challenges he needs. He's definitely getting challenged. You know, Dominic Reyes took it to him. It was a good fight, but you know, Jones walked out the winner, and it wasn't a big marquee money fight. I think the Ngannou-John Jones fight is money. And, AJ, you can, you know, give me the thumbs down all you want, but that's fine. Let's get to John Jones and what he said recently. Just pouring a big old bucket of cold water all over our party. So, the more I think about it, if I'm going to be taking big risks, I might as well go for all the cheese. I want that crown, too. Send a deal. The Goodwill in Albuquerque is about to get hooked up with some bomb-ass 36-waist jeans. Now, I want to address that for a second. Why 36-waist jeans? Why, when John Jones gets a lot of money, does he go out like, I love that he's Oh, the Goodwill. Okay, no, I just figured that out. The Goodwill. So he's going to donate his
36-inch jeans? What are they, skinny jeans?
Oh, no, I understand.
I wear 36.
Okay, I just got
it. He's getting to heavyweight.
Getting fatter. Exactly. That's what's happening. He's getting bigger, so he wears 36. He's going to give his 36
I think
jeans
I could take the 36
because he's going to get bigger.
I'm getting fatter myself.
There you go. So you can take John Jones' pants. They may be a little long on you, Fred. A little long. He's pretty tall.
Probably.
You can get them hemmed, though. No problem. So, okay, I just figured that out. I'm a little slow. Corona times, okay? So, here's John Jones where it gets real good. Currently in negotiations with UFC as we speak. Oh, that's good, right? That's a good sign. We like that.
What's with the four guys at the bottom?
Apparently those are John Jones' lawyers negotiating. I don't know. I don't know who posted that.
Those four guys are hilarious.
And there's Wally right under. He says, be a serious straightener between two deadly goers. I love that comment. Serious straightener between two deadly goers. That's a great Irish term. A straightener, you know, to call a fight a straightener and to call the fighters goers, fantastic. Great Irish expression. So, it gets bad, though. So, he's in negotiation with the UFC. We like that. Then he goes, unbelievable. Well, what does that mean? Now, this is where it gets bad. Before even discussing numbers, the UFC was unwilling to pay more for the Francis Super fight and for me to move to heavyweight. They said I could possibly earn more in pay-per-view buys. So the UFC not willing to pay Jones more than he's contracted to make in this fight as far as the guarantee. They're saying that if it sells on pay-per-view, well, you can make more pay-per-view. Maybe they'll give him a bigger cut of the pay-per-view, right? That's what I understand by that tweet. They're saying that, look, John, if you want to move up to fight Francis, if you want to move up to heavyweight, you might be able to earn more in pay-per-views, but we're not going to pay you more. So whatever he's supposed to make,
if it sells more,
right? If it sells more, right? But I think, you know, it's a deal where maybe he makes $2 for every pay-per-view instead of $1. You know, maybe they'll give him more.
Sure
they're making points. They're making points like Connor did. If I'm not mistaken,
they give him more points.
They gave him 10 to 12 points. And if you look under that tweet, you can see Danny Brook, and you can see what I asked Jones. If you look back at that comment, I actually wrote to him. I said, listen, go with the pay-per-view points and ask for 30, man. Your name is there. You're coming into heavyweight. Forget about what they want to offer you.
Did you really?
Make 30 points.
Did you really tweet to John Jones and give him advice?
Dave, go right back, and you'll see Danny Brook. Who's Danny Brook?
There you are.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
There I am.
Maybe you guys are right, but the way I read it is basically the UFC telling him, if you go to heavyweight, it's going to sell more pay-per-views and you're going to make more money. Maybe they're offering him a bigger share on those pay-per-views, but I would take the impression I got from reading. Yeah, of course. If they're offering you a bigger share, you got to be stupid not to say yes. I'm just not convinced that's the case, actually. I'm just saying I think the UFC is telling him, if you move to heavyweight, you're going to sell more pay-per-views, which if you sell more pay-per-views, that cut is just bigger because there's more pay-per-views, you know?
And Dave, here, if I can interject something,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this or not, but when the rumors started, like you said last week, a few days ago, Israel Adesanya was asked about John Jones moving up to heavyweight because, of course, they've been having their feud for the last few months or so. And Adesanya said, I guarantee you he's going to find a way out of that fight. Now, I don't know if some people are going to look at this negotiation thing as saying, was this John really just not wanting the fight and this is a way out? I don't know. But Adesanya seems to believe that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's possible. You know, John doesn't seem to want to take the UFC's deal, but he also seems unhappy with the deal. And I would expect that if the UFC had the opportunity to get John Jones and Francis Ngannou, that they would up his, basic show money. I would expect, if John Jones is going to go up and fight a guy like Francis Ngannou, he's going to go up and take that type of risk. He's going to move up to heavyweight. He's going to do a big fight, make big money for the company. I would expect the UFC to play ball a little bit more than just, we'll give you a little bit more in the pay-per-view. I don't know.
But Matt,
I'm not sure.
Matt, correct?
I'm not sure about
Matt,
that
correct
because
me if I'm wrong.
with the pandemic right now, like no company's going to be giving money away. Like they're not selling any tickets. I would be interesting to I'd like to see the numbers on the last pay-per-view because I don't think the economy is doing great, so there's no money there either.
It did all right.
The UFC should not be just...
The pay-per-view sold around 700,000. It did pretty well.
It did pretty well, man.
I mean, that's
That's very
okay
good.
for
it's pretty
for
good.
such a big card.
It's pretty good for a card that doesn't have Conor McGregor or John Jones on it. That's pretty good. It was a pretty solid thing. And look, I disagree with you, Fred, man. This is the big fight. This is the fight. What's the big fight out there? What is the biggest fight that the UFC could possibly make right there? You just said that this is the fight.
There.
Conor Khabib, forget it. We've seen it already. We know how it ends. I don't need to see that bullshit.
It's still a bigger fight.
I've told you I want to see
Thank you,
it.
Matt. Thank you, Matt.
I want to see Ngannou against John Jones. I'm just saying the UFC is not going to be renegotiate the deals right now. It's just not a good time for that. Like in any sport, if you're going to ask for a new contract, it's a hard time right now.
But let's be honest, guys. And Matt, you could be a testament to this, especially in boxing when you look at guys like Tyson Fury or whatever. When you're going into heavyweight, if you're not a heavyweight naturally, I mean, your game is a lot slower. And you know what? He's looking to outbox, outmove, and outwork Ngannou. That's the only way he could beat him. Because Ngannou's skills are not the greatest when it comes to combinations or really working his corners. He doesn't have the best boxing skills. What he does have is a boxing punch, and he has a super punch, and he keeps coming at you with these heavy bombs that are taking you out at every moment. But the problem is that if it goes into the first round, Ngannou's going to knock out Jones. If it starts going to the second and third, that's what Jones is hoping that can happen. Is this the best fight for Jones to fight Ngannou coming into heavyweight? Personally, I don't think so. And Matt, I don't know what you'd say on that.
Yeah, but I think stylistically, AJ, I think you're right. Everybody would probably predict as further the fight goes, John Jones has 5 rounds experience, and Ngannou, while he's on a tear winning streak, he's barely staying even a full round into the octagon. So his cardio, which he had issues with against Miocic, I don't think has been answered yet, which was probably what Jones would do. But to get to your point, guys, about the pay-per-view, boxing is having this also where they're saying to their big stars, if you guys aren't willing to take a risk here and have a bit less guaranteed and more possibly upside, you're going to have to wait till we get fans in the stands. And that's maybe what the UFC, if they can get eventually people on Fight Island, I don't know. And maybe that's when they'll wait for Jones and Ngannou. But if fighters now are going to have to take the bigger names, they're going to have to take a pay cut. If not, you're going to have to wait till we can get fans in the seats because it's still too much of a risk for the promoters.
I think we're close to getting
fans.
That's
the case in every sport.
I think we're close. We're getting closer to it. Maybe by the end of the summer, we can operate at 25% capacity, something like that. I think we're getting closer to it, but we're not quite there. And if you want to do a super fight with fans, well, you might have to wait until the fall or winter at the very earliest right now. But as far as Jones and Ngannou, I mean, forget about it. The super fight's not happening. Here's John Jones. He says, honestly, no, not in the stage of my career I could retire today. I've already done my job. I've given this company over a decade of entertainment. That's to a question that says, isn't legacy more important than money? Okay. Now, John Jones says, so he's saying that money is more important. And John Jones also says, it's been fun, you guys. Now, this is the one that hurts. It's been fun, you guys. See you all in a year or two. Now, I don't think he means, see fighting in a year or two. I don't think he means see the UFC in a year or two. I think he means, see the heavyweight division, see the thought of moving to heavyweight in a year or two. Because here he continues, maybe when they're ready to do better business, I'll come back. Until then, health, fitness, and family. I should have worded that differently. I actually think these guys do great business right now. Things just aren't where I want them to be. Red panty night for the light heavyweight division. So the red panty night for the light heavyweight division leads me to believe that John Jones intends to fight at light heavyweight, right? He plans to fight at light heavyweight while, giving those guys the big money fights because he is not going to go up to heavyweight for at least a year or two because the UFC is not making it worth his while. John Jones isn't saying, I'll see MMA in a year or two. He's saying, I'll see the idea of heavyweight again in a year or two because right now the UFC isn't making it worth it for me. It's got to be worthwhile. And really, the legacy is at 205 pounds. The legacy is being the greatest light heavyweight of all time, and he can continue that legacy and make the same money. Or he could go up and fight Francis Ngannou and take massive risks. I think that John Jones right now is doing the right thing, which is super rare for him to do. John Jones very rarely does the right thing, but in this instance, I agree 100% with his decision-making, which is, maybe I'm wrong. When I start agreeing with John Jones' decisions, I start to question myself. It's kind of like when I start agreeing with AJ, I start questioning myself.
Listen,
you're completely right, I think, on this one.
All right, Fred, tell me.
I think you're right on this one because in the end, look, with the situation of the COVID and the climate, the next fight is not going to be the biggest money-generating fight for John Jones. So his heavyweight debut, he might just postpone it for a year or so because it doesn't make sense right now. And if I tell you get an X amount to fight Dominic Reyes and you only get 10% more to fight Francis Ngannou, you might as well fight Dominic Reyes.
Of course.
And keep that Ngannou fight for later.
Yeah, of course.
But
of course.
Dave,
if you don't get an extra $1 million, I'm sorry, AJ. If you don't get an extra $1 million just because you're fighting Francis Ngannou, UFC needs to check themselves. Have you people seen Francis Ngannou? Have you seen the damage that he can do? That is a scary man. He can inflict serious damage to you. They should add an extra $1 million just for the risk of stepping into the cage with that monster of a man. Now, I don't think it's a right move for John Jones for his first fight at heavyweight. I've said it once. I'll say it 1,000,000 times. I think it's the wrong move because John Jones doesn't know what he's like at heavyweight. We don't know what John Jones is like against a heavyweight fighter. We don't know what John Jones fights like when he's at 240 pounds or whatever he'd be at heavyweight. We don't know. There are too many unknowns, and to try and walk into a fight with a lot of things that you don't know, add to the fact you're fighting one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the history of the UFC heavyweight division, it's not a really great move as a tester to see how you do at heavyweight. A guy like Ben Rothwell, that's a good tester to see how you do at heavyweight. A guy like Brock Lesnar, I've said it time and time again, would be the perfect fight for John Jones at heavyweight. He's big, so you test how you do against a big guy, but he's not at the prime of his life. He's not in the prime of his career. He's not the most dangerous guy. He's not Francis Ngannou. He's not challenging for a title, and he'll make you more money than Francis Ngannou, Daniel Cormier, and Dominic Reyes combined.
Wait, there's something else here, Dave, though.
Yeah.
And here's the thing for Jones. The plan makes sense at light heavyweight to piggyback. If you go to heavyweight, and we saw it in boxing when Roy Jones made the decision to go to heavyweight and win its title against John Ruiz, going back down is when he got knocked out by Tarver, is when the problems started happening. It's very difficult from go to heavyweight to then come back down. So if John Jones wants to stay at light heavyweight, either rematch Reyes, fight the Polish with Blachowicz, and then maybe Adesanya when Adesanya moves up, and then he can go to heavyweight. Those are 2 to 3 realistic fights that probably makes more sense for him to do and wait a little bit.
Yeah, why fight one of the heavyweight title contenders when you could fight the middleweight champion? Why fight a guy bigger than you and scarier when you could fight a guy smaller than you and very similar to your skill set? Fight Adesanya all day.
Look, I'm going to tell you what Jones could do going to heavyweight. What Jones could do going to heavyweight is to fight a guy like DC, because he's already beat DC in light, and he'll go up to heavyweight. DC has like 2 fights left, maybe 1 or 2, whatever it is. It's going to happen. This year he's going to retire. Before the end of 2020, he's going to retire. Jones, if he really wants to challenge the heavyweight, Stipe's not fighting. With this COVID, he's busy taking care of his first responder duties, and DC wants to fight. You know what? This is going to be the fight that might happen. If anything's going to come about, it'll be that. I remember you were talking about Brock Lesnar coming to fight Jon Jones. That would be awesome as an entertainment fight, and I think Jones can actually. That's money, But the real fight here is DC, and I know if DC comes out and says, "You know what? I want to fight Jones in heavyweight," that's going to happen. Remember what I said. I said Connor's going to come back in July. No one believed me. But that's all right.
Yeah, who's he fighting?
DC makes sense.
He's going to fight somebody.
And then Ngannou makes sense. I don't like the idea of an easier fight. I wasn't happy when Anderson Silva fought James Irvin. Like, I don't need to see Jon Jones against Rothwell. That's not a fight. I think Jon Jones would beat Rothwell pretty easily. Like, give me right away Jon Jones against one of the top guys.
Were you happy when Anderson fought? Sorry, Fred. Were you happy when Anderson fought Forrest Griffin? Was that okay?
A little bit better. It's a little bit better of a
Were you happy when he fought Stephen Bonner?
Yeah, that was good.
That was awful.
That was vicious. That was amazing. Oh, my goodness.
No, but I mean, that's not a name I want to see. Like, I want to see Jon Jones against a real name. Don't Ben Rothwell. Come on.
I want to give a shout out to
ESPN
Patrick.
Also.
Sorry, guys. I just want to give a shout out to Patrick C. Hamilton, who just super chatted. Thank you, Patrick. We appreciate you.
Tell
we
him to
appreciate.
Email us.
Email us because we have a T-shirt. Yeah, Patrick, if you're watching, email AJ. AJ, what's your DannyBrookMedia@gmail.com?
Exactly.
Email DannyBrookMedia@gmail.com, Patrick. AJ has a T-shirt for you. Thank you for super chatting. You can hit that super chat as well. Just click that $sign. If you have any questions for us, you have any comments, hit us up on that super chat. I'm seeing Dwayne Skeet was on the show. I'm seeing Johnny North is on the show. I'm seeing Alf is in the chat. I'm seeing Patrick is there. So shout out to everybody watching. We definitely do appreciate. We appreciate you supporting the show. Look, man, there's a lot of options for Jon Jones, but it really seems like those options at heavyweight aren't happening. It's just going to be Jon Jones versus somebody at light heavyweight, either Dominic Reyes or Jan Blachowicz. And those fights are not fun. You think it's Adesanya?
Oh. I hope it's Adesanya. I don't think it will be. If I had to bet money, I'll say Dominic Reyes because that's the one that makes sense. But Adesanya against Jones, they would be able to sell that. Adesanya is a young superstar also. They would trash talk the hell out of this fight.
Yeah.
People would get into it.
Now, Francis Ngannou opened as a -150 favorite, Jon Jones a +130 underdog. Do you guys agree with those lines? Would you guys all pick Francis Ngannou to win? Who would you guys pick to win that fight if it did happen? Matt, I'll start with you.
Oh, putting me on the spot for predictions. Look, I think pretty much what AJ was saying makes sense. That if you're thinking 2 rounds or less, everyone would be inclined to think Ngannou. Once it gets past 2 rounds, it's difficult to think Ngannou has an edge. So, look, I think if Jon Jones, I could be proven that he would be clean for this fight against Ngannou, I would probably be taking Ngannou. You know what I mean? But if Jon Jones is bigger and healthier and maybe has some extra stuff in him, who knows, some picograms left, then I think Jon Jones beats Ngannou.
Oh,
so if Jon Jones does
his right now,
if Jon Jones does his training camp in Russia, look out! It's gonna be crazy when he comes back. I don't know. I think I would go with Francis Ngannou just based on the size, man. I think the size is gonna play too much of a factor. He's too big. He's too strong. He's too powerful. I think he would catch Jon Jones, and I think he would put him down. I think that Jones is starting to slow down a little bit. I think people are starting to catch up to him. I don't know, Fred. Did you see the same Dominic Reyes fight that I did, Fred? You see him against Dominic Reyes? That was close,
Look,
man.
I'm gonna go the AJ route and just say that he didn't take that fight too seriously.
What?
And that he probably, had some activities or whatever. And if he fights Dominic Reyes again, I predict he dominates him. He's going to destroy him in the rematch.
Ooh.
And as far as the Ngannou fight, I think Jon Jones' fight IQ is higher. I think Jon Jones has more like mobility. I think Jon Jones has a good chin. We've seen him get hit before. Of course, Ngannou can knock out anybody. But John Jones, I think with Greg Jackson in his corner, would have a great game plan to stay away from the power of Ngannou. And if Ngannou doesn't have his power, he doesn't have nothing. Like, if John Jones is able to stay away from that punch, Ngannou has nothing.
Yeah. Look, and the thing with John Jones is that he has to get into the pocket of a guy like Ngannou. His spinning elbows that are pretty much his trademark, where he gets a lot of fighters, is going to be the most dangerous thing to do to a guy like Ngannou. You'll probably not knock out Ngannou with a spinning elbow. The thing is that you got to get into that pocket when you've got those heavy rights and lefts coming on at the same time. It's going to be hard. And honestly, I don't see this fight going more than one round where Ngannou knocks out Jones.
Yep, I'm gonna go with. I'd go with Francis Ngannou. I think Ngannou would probably win that fight, man. I really do.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen.
It all depends on where that shot lands when it lands. That early shot on John Jones. Does it land on his forehead or does it land on his jaw? If it lands on his jaw, he's going to sleep. If it lands on his forehead, he might wobble a bit, but he'll probably survive. You know that Francis is gonna connect. It just depends where exactly he connects. If he can land on that sweet spot, he hits anybody's chin, you're going to sleep. Francis Ngannou touches your chin, you're going down.
Look,
and
think
Dave,
about the clinch game.
Ngannou, though?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
I was going to say, what happens to Ngannou if, like Freddie was saying, if Daniel Cormier doesn't fight Ngannou next and ends up waiting for Stipe only, Ngannou must be really out of his mind right now. There's no other top heavyweight for him to fight. Curtis Blades over him. He's already beaten those guys, right? So I don't know. This is the worst news for Ngannou, though, possibly. If John Jones really stays at 205, I think Ngannou and the UFC are going to have a hard time finding him a credible opponent.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people are looking for John Jones to fight Ngannou right now, because they realize, well, there's a bit of a logjam at heavyweight. While Stipe Miocic is out and he's not training and he's not really enthused with the idea of fighting Daniel Cormier anytime soon, it seems like they're going to wait a while for Stipe in DC because Stipe can't get a full training camp under, and there's all sorts of stuff happening right now. So Stipe doesn't seem like he wants to fight, and if Stipe doesn't fight and DC wants to wait, well, Francis is on the outside looking in. But the UFC did say that, look, if Stipe waits around too long and we can't get him into a fight and we need to keep this thing going, we're just either going to strip him of the title or create an interim championship. And Daniel Cormier seemed willing to fight Francis Ngannou for that title, whatever it would be. So I think, if it comes a time when, okay, Stipe's not taking a fight, we're in August, September, there's no Stipe fight, then you're probably going to see Daniel Cormier fight Francis Ngannou, which, like, how crazy is that? Like, he could talk shit to John Jones. Hey, John, you're scared to fight this guy. I'm going to go in. I'm going to mop the floor with him. Fuck you, John Jones. You're scared, That'd be fantastic.
But
he
you
could
know
do
what?
that.
Just like in boxing, if, like, for my favorite division, it would be heavyweight. In boxing, I look forward to the heavyweight division. Yeah. You need to see a lot of prospects, a lot of guys coming up. Because what happens after? You're talking about Stipe. You're talking about Cormier. We're looking at John Jones from light heavyweight to get into heavyweight. What about the rest of that roster on the heavyweight? We need to bring in, like, new blood and everything. I mean, there's guys like Cyril Gane. We keep talking about him. We haven't seen him fight enough. And, Matt, I don't know if you've seen Cyril Gane, but we've seen this guy fight live.
Yeah, he's great.
Telling you, as a heavyweight goes, he's got it all. He's got submission game. He's got a stand-up game. He has a great physique, great cardio. We didn't see enough of this guy. The problem with the UFC is that they're not building all the back roster with guys with a lot of talent and some serious knockout power. And, rumor has it, okay, they train in the same club out in France, and Cyril Gane apparently, inspiring Dave, I'm going to say it.
I know where you're going. You've said it a million times on the show.
So, Matt, he knocked out Ngannou. So, what? Let's see it. Let's see it happen.
Him out.
AJ has like 5 rants that he goes on, and the Cyril Gane rant is what you just heard. That's one of AJ's 5 rants. It's almost like you're a doll and somebody pulls the string and there's 5 different things that you might say.
But he's good, man.
Are you a person or are you a robot of some sort, AJ? What are you? What's happened to you?
He's great. He should fight Greg Hardy, though.
AJ, I agree 100%. AJ should fight Greg Hardy. That'd be great. Okay, now you talk about heavyweights. We have Matt on. Matt is a boxing expert. We're going to get back to the MMA in a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit of boxing here with you. Matt, how about the heavyweight division? Tyson Fury.
Yep.
What's the story? Is he fighting Wilder again? Why? Where's Joshua in the mix? Like, I saw him fight Wilder, beat the shit out of Deontay Wilder. I thought, okay, cool. Now it's time for him to fight Anthony Joshua. That seems to make the most sense. But then they're like, no, there's a rematch clause. They're going to do a rematch. And I'm like, why? Tyson Fury beat him the first time, even though they called it a draw. Tyson Fury won that fight. Come on. And then Tyson Fury clearly beat him the second time. He's beat this guy twice. Why am I watching a trilogy fight?
Yeah, some good points here, Dave. First and foremost, Fury is actually somebody Stipe's shown the most interest in fighting. It looks like maybe we'll see one of those crossover bouts one of these days.
I think Tyson Fury is more likely to have a match with the WWE champion than the UFC champion. Okay, Tyson Fury beat Braun Strowman, who is the current WWE Universal Champion. So Tyson Fury could have a big career in pro wrestling. Just saying.
No, exactly. But to get back to the boxing perspectives for Tyson Fury, why would you see a third fight against Wilder, like you said, instead of a fight against Joshua? There's a lot of things that are up in the air right now, of course, in this post-COVID world. But one of the elements why they want to get this done in the late fall, they say at least maybe even a little bit before Christmas, they want to have this fight. Bob Arum is on record saying he wants Fury Wilder in front of at least some sort of audience. He doesn't want to put it in front of in the gym or the close quarters that is being discussed that are going to do in June, similar to what the UFC's been doing. So if Fury here gets a chance against Wilder, it's going to be a big money fight. He can afford to wait. But we would have loved to see Anthony Joshua against Fury, but Anthony Joshua has mandatory obligations that are well past due, and he has to fight a fighter by the name of Kubrat Pulev, who's a quality guy, but somebody Joshua should win rather successfully. And that fight is likely to take place in the late summer. And Eddie Hearn, who Dana White quoted last week as saying might be the best guy to get boxing back on track, Eddie Hearn of Matchroom is considering putting on a huge event, at least like a small stadium in a sense, where there could be crowd and fans attending his backyard because he has a huge property in the UK. So believe it or not, he would have this field open in the UK for the shows, and one of those shows could be Anthony Joshua making a mandatory defense, which would help DAZN because DAZN is in big time trouble right now, and they had this was the worst possible moment for this type of pandemic to hit, an up and starting company like DAZN.
Wow, that would be crazy, having a big boxing match in your backyard. Imagine the heavyweight championship defended in your backyard. Anthony Joshua, you talk about a guy, that he's supposed to beat, but we've seen Anthony Joshua in the ring with a guy he's supposed to beat, and he didn't beat him. So, it happens sometimes, right?
But I think that fight more and more as time goes on here and you see the results of the rematch, it must have been an aberration. But Anthony Joshua's chin will always be in question. He knows it. I mean, it's not necessarily that he can't take a punch because he's taken some bombs from Vladimir Klitschko. A lot of people remember that war, and he took some big shots against Andy Ruiz even when he got back up. I think the question, though, with Joshua is that he still might have that doubt that when it becomes a war, he's much better doing what he did in the Ruiz rematch, which is to use his length, box. He let go a little bit that lifting the weights. He focused a bit more on his boxing skills. I don't know, Freddie, what you think, but I think Anthony Joshua right now, because of his last win, people think him and Fury would be close to a 50-50 fight.
I would go with Fury probably to win that fight, but I'll just say that's the fight I want to see as the next fight because Deontay Wilder if anybody needs a rebound fight, it's Deontay Wilder. I don't need to see Deontay Wilder right away against Tyson Fury. I don't think that would make sense. And you mentioned that opponent for Anthony Joshua. Personally, I'm not the hugest boxing fan, so that doesn't really interest me either. Give me right away the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight. That's the one I want to see right away.
That's it. That's the big one. If this were the UFC and they were all under one umbrella, it would be like, okay, well, so Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder fought. Tyson Fury won. Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz fought. Anthony Joshua won. So now Joshua fights Tyson Fury and Andy Ruiz fights Deontay Wilder, and we just settle it that way. And that, to me, makes the most sense. But, of course, boxing and negotiations, these things don't always work out the way we want them to. Speaking of heavyweights, the greatest heavyweights of all time, well, two of the greatest anyways. Of course, Ali is up there. But let's talk about two of the greatest ever, Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Are they going to fight each other again?
What?
What?
Do you want me to go first here, Dave?
Well, yeah, Matt, I'm asking you. You're the one who knows. I can't understand what the hell's going on. Mike, I mean, there's so much talk about Mike Tyson fighting again. He said he wants to fight again. He's like 53. I understand he's in good shape, and when he hits pads, he looks good.
Shape.
Yeah, sure, but he's 53. He can't fight unless he's fighting another 50-something-year-old man. And look, I saw Ken Shamrock fight Royce Gracie like, what was it, 2-3 years ago, and Bellator did it again. It was fucking ugly, man. I didn't want to see that. It's like you don't want to see guys that are way past their prime fighting each other, because then you see like, oh, well, when they fought back then, this is what real fighting looks like, and now what they're doing now is a farce. And I think that, you know, as good as Mike Tyson looks, hitting pads, him fighting in 2020 or 2021 or whatever is a joke, and him fighting Holyfield is a joke. I hope they don't do it. I hope they don't do it. But, you know, I'll watch. Everybody will watch. But it's a fucking freak show, man. It's not a real boxing match. Come on.
What?
Come on, Matt.
What are you talking about, Dave? What are you talking about?
AJ, just because you're the same age as Tyson and Holyfield doesn't mean anybody wants to see you fight, okay? It's over.
Listen, Matt.
It's over.
Matt, let me just say something. I saw Tyson without his shirt just a couple of days ago. My God. Listen, don't forget, it's Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson wants to go in there and hurt someone, he's going to hurt someone. Let's not forget that. He could probably knock out more, like a lot of 20-year-old heavyweights. Pat, sorry, go ahead.
Get the fuck out of here. Put Mike Tyson in there with Tyson Fury right now. It would be a joke. It would be a joke. He'd get demolished. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, AJ?
Listen, did you see him training? Did you see him training Ngannou? They were doing like some like footwork. Tyson has like the best footwork still at 53 years old.
Put Tyson in a boxing match with Francis Ngannou today, and Tyson would get demolished too. He's too old, man.
Whoa.
Oh, Matt, please.
Matt. We need the boxing expert. Get in there.
Let's do it, Matt. Let's have it. Set it up. I'm telling you.
I don't know what's in the Gatorade, but let's take a breather for a
20 years. 20 years makes a big difference, Matt. 20 years makes a huge difference. I don't care who you are.
I was with you for a long time. Okay, here's the point, though. The Mike Tyson mystique is still very much relevant, especially nowadays. People are feeling nostalgic the last few months with everything that's going on, and you have a lot of people who are looking to maybe get some cash grab or get some attention going. This is why even De La Hoya, Mayweather, you're hearing a lot of rumors from a lot of the vintage fighters. Now, for Tyson, there's a lot of good points have been brought up here. Here's the thing. The latest with Evander Holyfield, and both men are on record, this is all for charity, and it would be an exhibition. There's no grand plans to get back into the rankings, even if the WBC, believe it or not, like AJ, believe that Mike Tyson should be qualified in the top 15 heavyweights right now.
What?
Preposterous.
They believe that?
Terrible in his last ever fight.
Is that real?
On record, Mauricio Suleiman said he would rank Mike Tyson if Mike Tyson decides to come back officially. But again, Mike is not on record saying he wants to come back. It's just I think people see him in his best shape that he was compared to his last few fights of his career when he was against McBride in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So there's a reason. People see that and they love it, but again, it's misleading. The pads, I don't think he would beat any credible heavyweight at the moment for the cardio and the conditioning. But if it's an exhibition bout for charity with Holyfield, why not?
With headgear on?
Let's get back to that. Let's get back to that question, though. You do think he would beat Ngannou in a boxing fight? Because I agree with you. Like I feel like boxing is such a
that's why I was saying hold on. There's no way Ngannou would even accept fighting his mentor in a boxing fight, right? But I think Tyson would beat him. 100%.
And I'll tell you what, Floyd Mayweather in 20 years will be able to beat McGregor and McGregor's son on the same night. Because, I mean, Floyd Mayweather boxed his whole career.
Guys, Mike Tyson is 53 years old. Francis Ngannou is 33. I understand that Mike Tyson has the boxing skill, but, okay, maybe Tyson has a shot against Ngannou, but let's not pretend like it would be a walk in the park for him, okay? He's 53, and we know Mike Tyson, he's been through a lot, okay? I don't think that his brain is ready to take a punch from Francis Ngannou. Francis lands one time. You're telling me Mike doesn't go down? Come on, guys. He's 53. I think you guys forget what age does to an athlete. You guys need to watch sports again. I know sports have been gone for a while, but you need to watch an old man try and do sports. It's fucking embarrassing, guys.
Whoa, Dave. What about Randy Couture when he fought Brock Lesnar? Let's not forget that.
How'd that go for Randy? How'd that go for Randy?
Yeah, but it didn't matter. But he was still doing pretty well at some point against a younger Brock Lesnar. Let's not forget that. He was 47 years old.
He didn't do that well, and yeah, he was 47. He wasn't 50.
Well, it's not that far.
He got knocked out in the second round.
Well.
He got
obliterated. Doing well in the first round.
No, he wasn't.
Anyways,
AJ, come on.
Listen.
On.
Going back to what you were saying, Matt.
Then go get Chuck Liddell. Go get Chuck Liddell to fight John Jones. Go do that, and you see how that works out.
Listen.
Remember Chuck Liddell against Tito Ortiz, the last one? How'd that go for Chuck? Not too good.
Not too good. But they're looking. De La Hoya was there.
Yeah, De La Hoya. Thanks, Oscar. Thanks for that, Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Oscar was talking about fighting Conor. Let's see that. Give me that. Well, I think Conor has a shot.
Listen,
Matt, are you giving Conor a shot there? Shut up, AJ. Matt, are you giving Conor a shot there? No?
Wait.
What about?
Here's the thing.
Oscar De La Hoya is so old too, man. Come on, man. Really?
Hey, Conor has a shot, but I'm telling you what, that's the fight. If you people want to see Ngannou Jones in the UFC right now in boxing, I mean, there's a few fights. I'd love to see Crawford against Errol Spence. I'd love to see Canelo against Triple G again. But De La Hoya McGregor, I'd rather see De La Hoya McGregor than McGregor Mayweather too. That's what I'm telling you right now. Because there's legitimate heat between those two men.
He's 47 years old, Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, you talk about, hey, look, McGregor. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something with Oscar De La Hoya. He gets really excited, but I think he's a bit confused because when Conor says red panty night, that's not what he means. You know, De La Hoya's like, I get to wear them? No, Oscar. It's not, that's a different thing. Conor, come on, bro.
Listen, Matt, on another note, Conor was just saying the last couple of days and really hamming it up that the Mayweather fight 2 is going to take place. And he said straight up, it's going to be a different show. He's going to knock out Mayweather.
Wait, Dave. I know what AJ's talking about here. Mike Tyson, actually, speaking of Tyson, credited McGregor's boxing skills against Mayweather and said he didn't get enough credit from the boxing fan base and community.
Thank you very much.
McGregor, at this stage of Mayweather's career, if there were to be a rematch, McGregor would have a chance. But Mayweather's a trainer now. He's not coming back. So I think if you listen to McGregor, he's listed his next fight with like 15 different opponents from boxing to UFC. He said he's going to fight everybody and anybody. Yeah. So he's dreaming. He's living in fantasy land. Well, he's not coming back. But Mike Tyson gave him credit, though.
Let's see him fight, man. I want to see McGregor fight, man. Let's see it.
But I'm not judging him because right now, as soon as jiu-jitsu opens, man, I'm picking anybody, a hobo, anybody that wants to grapple, come into it. Like, I'm not judging him. I'll grapple with anybody.
I'll fight anybody and everybody right now. Let's go.
Matt, listen, actually, I got to give you credit for saying that because you know what? When it was the Mayweather-Conor fight, I was sitting with Jacques Lemaire. He was the former professional boxer. You remember Jacques Lemaire?
Yeah,
back in the days here in Quebec? So Jacques, you know what? I was sitting with him. Yeah, and I was sitting with him watching the fights. And I got to tell you one thing. All the MMA fans were so hard on Conor. And all the boxing fans were like, you know what? This guy did really well. Like, he really, stepped up the game. Fighting a guy who's 49-0, who's the world's best boxer, of this decades. And he's fighting Mayweather. All the boxing fans came out and gave credit to Conor, where all the MMA fans were on the other side of the fence. So I'm glad you brought that up, and Mike Tyson's credibility says it all right there. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, AJ. That's another one of the AJ rants, giving Conor McGregor a lot of credit against Floyd Mayweather. That's one of your 5 rants that you do too.
Hey, listen, it's the boxing guys that were saying it. I got to give them credit. They know what they're talking about.
So Floyd, a few months ago was talking about coming back. He was like, "Oh, I want to fight an MMA guy. I want to fight a boxing guy. I want to do all this stuff." But then his uncle died. AJ, stop shuffling papers. It makes so much noise. Then his uncle died, and then one of the mothers of his children, some of his children, I don't know, one of his kids, I don't know how many. He's got a lot of kids, right? And he's got many different mothers. It's hard to keep track of Floyd's kids and all the mothers. But one of the mothers, one of the famous ones, I think she was on a TV show about him one time. She died, right? So she died recently. Josie Harris, she passed away. His uncle Roger died, and now Floyd seems a lot quieter. And I took it to mean that, look, he's shutting down. He's not going to come back.
No, he isn't, Dave. And I think he stated that he'd consider exhibition-type fights with McGregors of the world or other, top-name UFC athletes that some have hinted they may want a shot at Mayweather. But in terms of his boxing career, he's done, and he's been focusing his efforts, and they're available to see whether it's on his Instagram feed or on Devin Haney's Instagram feed. And Devin Haney is a name not many people probably will recognize, especially if you're UFC fans, but he's one of the up-and-coming boxing fighters, 135-pound champion right now that I think is probably the best potential fighter. 5 years down the road will be one of the bigger stars in boxing. So Mayweather's busy with his other avenues and his training right now. Forget about him coming back in the gym. I just think people are going to offer Mayweather, until he looks reasonably in shape, they're going to offer Mayweather fights from now till another 5 years down the road. People are still going to have him involved in rumors.
That's it, because he's such a big name. People are always going to want to try and bring him out of retirement or whatever to make that money, right? It makes sense, right, Fred?
And Floyd has been done for several years. I mean, his last fight with McGregor, you're giving props to McGregor, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Floyd spent the week at the strip joint before the fight. he wasn't training. And that's why Floyd wants to fight an MMA guy. He wants to fight another guy that he doesn't need to go into a full training camp. Floyd's at that point in his career, and I don't blame him.
Freddie's right about that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to come back anyways. Matt, UFC's back in action. Is there any boxing that we can look forward to? Is there any big fight? I guess there's no big fight, but is there anything happening? What's the next boxing? When's boxing coming back?
Yeah, I'll leave you on this parting shot here, Dave. Well, the UFC and boxing are waiting on Vegas. So May 30th for the UFC. I think you guys are going to talk about that later. In boxing, if they could get the okay from Nevada, Top Rank, and ESPN, because ESPN is pushing for content, they're going to put up more costs associated with the testing, whatnot. They want to get it done in the close quarters of the Top Rank headquarters, similar to the apex of the UFC. And they would have shows starting Saturday, June 9th. It would be headlined by Shakur Stevenson, who's an up-and-coming fighter under the tutelage of Andre Ward, the former super middleweight champion and future Hall of Famer. And Shakur Stevenson, it's not going to be a big bout, but they're going to put a lot of fights for the lesser names, if you will, at first, while they kind of gauge what they're going to do with the bigger events to see if they can get more fans or pay-per-view revenue down the road. But starting in June in Nevada, it's a go.
So there's no plan for any big money fight.
No Canelo fights.
No Canelo, no nothing until we figure out what's going on. Nothing, right?
Yeah. The latest with Canelo is that Canelo was supposed to fight Billy Joe Saunders, who defeated David Lemieux here in a local fight not too long ago. And not a local fight, but a fight that was held here in this province. And then Billy Joe Saunders against Canelo got derailed with everything going on now. And if the fight is to happen again, it's likely to take place sometime in September, and then Canelo and Triple G would fight each other in December to end the season. So that would be the plan. Canelo and Triple G in separate bouts, and then they meet for a third time in December near the holidays. But that's again going to be dependent on a lot of what happens with the testing.
That's a lot of fights, though. What, September and then back at it December? That's not a long time.
He's got nothing else to do, and he's been in the gym. Canelo's been in the gym. Yeah. He's been training. Him and Triple G, they want to get fights done, and as long as they can get him with the contract of the zone, I don't know. Him and Canelo is going to be tricky because they gave him so much money. I don't see how they can hold up that end of their deal.
Well, that'll be a fun, busy 4 months starting in September, man. People are going to be so busy in September. So much shit is going to be happening in September. It's going to be nuts. Matt, we're going to have you back on real soon, man. It's always good having you on. It's good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while, man. It's good to see you. And, yeah, man, it's been fun. Thank you, man.
Matt.
All right, take care, guys. I'll listen to AJ's next 3 rants left, I think.
That's right. He's got 3 more rants left.
I got a few more, man.
There he is.
Hang in there.
Matt Casavan. There he is. Matt Casavan joining us, our boxing expert. Freddie, bring your face back into the picture.
Freddie,
there you go. Man. There he is. Look at that handsome devil. Look at that guy. Beautiful.
Look at those.
That was fun talking a little boxing with Matt. I like that guy. Good man.
I wanted to ask him a question, but Dave again cuts us off as usual.
Well, sorry. We were talking to him for like an hour. I didn't want to have him on all night here, boys. We got other stuff to get to.
But next time we have him, I want to ask him because I had somebody wrote to me and said, "Listen, if you had to take fantasy-wise a prime Ali versus a prime Tyson, who would win?" I'd like to hear his take.
Yeah, I mean that's like a age-old question for boxing. Like whatever, who cares? It'll never happen.
Who cares?
I mean, it'll never happen. It's totally hypothetical. So who really cares about?
It'll happen on
fantasy.
Like EA Sports. That's what'll happen.
Okay, well you go do it on EA Sports.
That's the equivalent of people right now debating who's better, Jordan, LeBron. I mean, 2 different eras.
Yeah, and obviously it's Jordan. Clearly it's Jordan. Everybody knows it's Michael Jordan.
Come on, Freddie. That's an
LeBron
easy
has
one.
60 pounds on Jordan, but yeah.
Yeah, well, Jordan has like 60 rings on LeBron, doesn't he? How many rings does LeBron have? What, 2? 3?
3.
He's got 3?
Yep.
What did he win? He won one with Miami or 2? 2 with Miami? And one with Cleveland. And then he's like, fuck off, Cleveland. I'm going to Los Angeles where I'll never win again.
He was going to win this year, unfortunately.
You thought he was going to win this year? Well, we'll see. Maybe he'll still win. Maybe LeBron will win, and he'll have 4 rings. He'll still need 2 more to catch up to Michael, and I doubt it, right? Like, will anybody ever do what Michael Jordan did? That shit was crazy. The Last Dance is over, guys. You liked it? You get to see the end of it?
I haven't seen the end. No, I haven't seen it. Don't say anything. Don't spoil it there.
Fred?
It was a big love fest for Michael Jordan, like a big infomercial for him and Nike. Honestly, I didn't learn much new stuff. Like, if you followed Michael Jordan's career, you pretty much everything.
Oh, there was some dirt there. There was good dirt.
Yeah, what kind of dirt? There wasn't really dirt. It was all controlled, and like no mention of his first marriage. Anything like it.
She wasn't on the basketball.
Clean.
She wasn't with him shooting in the gym.
What about Scottie Pippen, man? Does anybody not feel sorry for Scottie Pippen? I was looking at that. And
Why?
I'm like,
because of what Future did with his wife? Whoops.
No, I'm talking about his pay salary. He was like so.
He had sex with her. That's
underpaid.
Yeah, Future the rapper. Yeah, Pippen was underpaid, but eventually he got paid, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, Future the rapper, he had sex with Scottie Pippen's wife. They call her Thotty. They call her Thotty Pippen.
You see, that's why I don't listen to that music shit. I listen to Vanilla Ice, Beastie Boys. They didn't do that kind of stuff. They were cool.
You're a racist. Anyways, we're going to talk about...
I'm telling you, man.
Well, you are anyway. So let's get to the fights on Saturday night. What did you guys think? Any fights that were fun?
Dave.
Exactly.
What? Where are we? Where are we now?
Overeem is an MMA legend, okay?
Fucking amazing.
Look, Walt Harris, nice performance. Not the greatest fighter. I'm going to, I feel bad dissing him because his story was incredible, but his grappling, could be much better. His grappling is very basic, but at the same time, Overeem, he showed some nice grappling. Like, once he got rocked, he did a nice duck under at some point to regain position and all. Like, Overeem showed some nice skills in that fight, so I was very impressed by Overeem. And how old is Overeem? He's pretty up there also.
He's 40. He's 40 years old. He turned 40 the night of the fight.
For him to deliver that type of performance, it was a beautiful performance. I think Overeem is an MMA legend, and he just solidified his case as an MMA legend. Walt Harris, you need to work on that grappling, my friend.
Yeah, Harris cracked Overeem good. He cracked him good early on in the fight. Overeem's power of recuperation, his recovery, was really smart. He stayed, sharp. He stayed focused, and he avoided taking more damage. I thought Overeem fought the perfect fight there, and then he was able to take control and really put it on Walt Harris, and it was a beautiful fight. It was a beautiful comeback win for Overeem. Overeem, you can't say enough good things about him. Can I tell you a theory that I have now with this current coronavirus MMA? Because people aren't training that much, because it's hard to train, it's hard to improve your skills, right? I feel like the veterans have a lot more advantage than they would have under normal circumstances. Because you take a guy like Walt Harris, a guy who hasn't been in the game for as long, his improvement between fights is leaps and bounds, right? How many fighters in the UFC do you see that are kind of young in the sport that don't know that much? You see them one fight, and then the next fight, they're like so much better, right? Now, Alistair Overeem is probably as good now as he's ever going to be. He was actually probably better a few years ago, right? So he's already reached his peak. He's already reached his top of his improvement level of his martial arts skills. Now, of course, martial arts are beautiful, and you're always improving, and you're always getting better inch by inch. But I think that once you hit one of those top levels, like an Overeem has in an MMA context, you're only going to improve your game by so much at this point in your career. Whereas other guys in the sport, because they're so young and they're so inexperienced, they gain so much knowledge in between fights for their training camps. But now that they're not having those full training camps, they're not improving at the same rate that they would normally. So these other fighters, that are already at that top level, well, they can just cruise. Like, they're good. They're like, Alistair Overeem is good to fight any day of the week. He's been doing it for his whole life. He knows how to fight. Walt Harris is still getting his feet wet in MMA. And he wasn't able to improve. He wasn't able to be the best version of himself because he wasn't able to get the training camp in. And Overeem at this point is the best version of himself, training camp or no training camp. Like, the training camp at this point for Overeem is not to teach him how to fight. It's to get him in shape. Right? You hear that with a lot of fighters. A lot of fighters at that point in their career, it's like, I don't do a training camp to learn how to fight. I do a training camp to get in shape. But other fighters are doing it to learn how to fight, to sharpen their skills, to be better, to learn more tricks because they don't have that many tricks. A guy like Walt Harris is athleticism and power, but he's not skill. And those skills aren't improving right now because of coronavirus, because you can't have a good, solid training camp. So I think the veterans right now, if you're going to play the odds, if you're going to look at the angles, I think the veterans right now are the ones you go with because they're the ones that are already at that black belt level. These other people are trying to get to black. Like, you know what I mean? You're a black belt. You come in, you're a black belt. You know black belt techniques. These other guys are purple belts. They're trying to get their brown belt. They're trying to get to their black belt. They're trying to move up, but they can't move up because they're not getting the technique. They're not getting the training. Whereas these other guys, well, they're already black belts, right? Now, Walt Harris may be a black belt one day, but he walked into that fight a purple belt against a black belt, and that's why he lost.
But Dave, let's not forget, like, you know, not to take away from Walt Harris, but he's been gone almost a year. He's gone through, like, a terrible family tragedy. There's so much that was riding on him, and you're right, his training camp probably was nothing compared to what he usually does. But let's not forget, Walt Harris never wins that big fight. He's 7-7 in the UFC. You know, he's never going to be able to win those big fights. You know, he looked good in the first round. He almost put away Overeem. A couple more punches and it was all done. That would have been the biggest win for Walt Harris. The problem with Walt Harris is he's 7-7. He's not going to be anywhere close to, like,
I think he's less skilled.
title.
I agree with Dave.
He's less skilled, yes, but he's going to be a great fighter to be sort of like that gatekeeper in between for younger fighters to come up and whatnot. But you know what? Listen, he didn't have a proper training camp. Let's see what he does in his next fight with a true, proper training camp. And to be honest, he looked a little bit heavy. He looked, you know, sure. But
that's what Dave is saying right now.
That's what I'm saying, AJ. Thank you. Thank you, Fred.
The fact that Harris, that Overeem has more skill showed in that fight. Like, Overeem, naturally, if both guys stop training for a year and they fight, Overeem's going to be the more skilled fighter, and that's basically what happened. They didn't stop training for a year, but they didn't train properly at normal level. And I think for the next couple of events, this is going to be a storyline. Like, if anything, like, surprises are going to happen. Maybe veterans are going to fare better because of issues like that. But we cannot we cannot judge these fights as if guys have had like a normal training camp. These are all like special conditions, and I'm still down for the fights. But like right now, I'm wondering what's going to happen because the UFC, they want to put some events, and you got a lot of guys that are not training completely. So some guys are going to take fights because they want to make the money. Other guys, like John Jones, for example, he might just say, no, I'm going to take 6 months off. Like, I don't need to fight right now in this rush type of environment where, you know, I can't train properly. I got all these things I got to follow that's going to affect my training camp and my performance. Like, I'm going to be interested to see how they fill up these cards the next couple of weeks.
Now, like, what I'm saying is, if you're better than me, say, AJ, let's say, for example, that you're better than me at fighting, right? For example, which doubtful. We'll see.
No, that's pretty
we'll see when Corona stops so we can actually, you know, Fred and I have rolled several times. You and I mean, every time we invite you to the mats, you always have some sort of excuse. You got an injury, you got a whatever, you got something to do. So I'll assume that you're better than me at fighting, but I haven't seen it proven, so I'm waiting for the proof, AJ, all right? I believe you, but I don't believe you.
Listen, my AJ, opponents
here's
believe
my point.
me.
I know, I believe you. I've heard the stories. You're a badass, okay? I'm not doubting your badassery. Okay, but what I'm saying is, you're better. Say you're better at fighting than I am, right? We have a fight scheduled in a year. I train hard. You don't. I get better, and I beat you because I've improved my skills. You were better than me when the fight was scheduled, but by the time the fight happens, well, I've trained hard. Well, you've trained, but I've trained harder, and I've improved my skills, and you only had a few holes in your game. I had tons of holes, but I closed them all up, and now I'm way better. I'm a way better skilled fighter, and I beat you in the fight, okay? That makes sense. That's normal times. That's what happens in MMA all the time. One guy's better, one guy's not so good, but a guy improves their skills, and then all of a sudden, a couple years later, oh, he is better than that other guy, right? But if you're better than me at a fight, and we have a fight scheduled in, 3 months, and we both can't train, I'm going to lose 100%, right? Because if I know you're better than me, like if Overeem is better than Walt Harris, and neither of them are training, Walt Harris is a purple belt, Overeem is a black belt. When they fight, well, Overeem's going to win every single time because you don't get better at fighting by not training. The only way you get better at fighting is by training and having that proper instruction and doing real MMA training, real martial arts training. And right now, because gyms are closed, you're not getting that improvement. These fighters are not going to be improving at the same rate that they were pre-coronavirus until things, start to make more sense and we can open gyms up. So my point is, if you are a veteran in the sport, now is your time to shine because you already have those black belt skills. You're already there. Alistair Overeem is already there. If this were normal times, with a full training camp, I'm not sure the fight would have gone the same way.
Look, you know what? You do have some half-truth in that, Dave. There's no doubt about it.
Whole
but
truth.
When it comes down, look, there's a good part of it. But to be honest, when you look at the overall fight of Overeem, he was better than Walt Harris, but he wasn't that great. And that's what it comes down to. You know what? Overeem is 40 years old. His career is coming literally to an end. He's had massive fights. He's got so many knockouts in his last couple of years. His chin is starting to go. We can see that. His cardio is starting to go. He looked good. He looked physically better in this fight than his last fight. But the truth of the matter is, it wasn't the best Overeem we've seen. And it's not going to be. We're not going to see a better Overeem.
Let's not pretend that he didn't almost get knocked unconscious in the first 2 minutes of the fight, right? He almost lost.
Exactly.
But hey, he recovered. He came back. He won. He looked pretty good. I thought it was a good fight. I liked that fight. The rest of the card was okay. Some surprising decisions there by the end of it. Barboza coming out on the losing end to Dan Ige. Claudia Gadelha beating Angela Hill by split decision. Controversial. People thought it went the other way.
For real, I think Claudio won that one. Claudio won.
I don't know. I was hearing different things. Sometimes the fight is so close. When it goes the other way, you're like, look, man, these things happen. It's tough to judge these fights. And, these rounds sometimes, when it's the difference of a one round is really tough to call in a 3-round fight. These things happen. Okay, guys, I want to get to some other things going on here. Anthony Smith told Ariel Helwani that he has specific instructions to his corner to never throw in the towel, never give up the fight. So we were wondering, hey, shouldn't his corner take some of the blame? Remember when Anthony Smith got his ass kicked by Glover Teixeira and it seemed like way too much? Well, apparently Anthony Smith has told his corner, do not ever stop the fight in between rounds. Do not ever throw in the towel. You are not allowed to do that when you're in my corner. So, look, I would not do that. If I were fighting, I would say, look, guys, if you think that I'm getting really fucked up in there, call it. You have the right to call it. It's okay. I may not be in my right state of mind. It's okay. But I'm not a UFC fighter. I don't want to be a UFC fighter. So, look, man, I understand that mentality of it's do or die in there. Do not fucking pull the plug on my fight. If I am going to stop the fight, let me end the fight. Don't, maybe he doesn't trust his corner to be the ones to stop the fight. Maybe he thinks his corner cares about him too much. But I don't know if that's the wisest move from a fighter to tell his corner, don't stop it no matter what. But I understand now why they didn't stop it, at least. It makes sense. Fred?
It's unfortunate Matt is not here because remember that Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight, the corner threw the towel in basically for Deontay Wilder. And Deontay Wilder, after that, I remember he announced that he would not retain the services of his training because of that. But I think he changed his mind. I'm not sure. I think they patched up everything. But hey, a lot of fighters don't want they want to go out on their own terms, and to them, it means like giving everything they have in there. So look, it's a hard one, but I still believe that the corner should save. Like, look, your fighter's gonna be mad for a couple of days, but you're doing the right thing when you're.
Once they watch it, they kind of realize, right?
But it's the responsibility not of the corner. It's really the responsibility of the ref before the corner comes in. And in boxing, they literally throw in the towel. And the ref, when the ref sees a certain point where the boxer or the MMA fighter is not defending himself, it's his duty and his responsibility to end the fight before there's going to be a death in the ring. Or even worse, as we saw with Adonis Stevenson, who went into coma for a month or two. I mean, you know what?
So you can't put the blame.
That's not worse than death, AJ. You're confused there. That's not worse.
Listen. Well, you know what? You're in a coma for a month or two. He was on the brink of death. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah,
the ref had a responsibility.
Would you rather be alive or dead, AJ?
Listen, man, either or. What it comes down to is
not either or. Not either or. Listen, would you rather be alive or dead? It's a very easy answer. Alive. No?
Well, to some fighters, they'd rather be dead. They're going in the ring to fight, and whatever happens, happens. That's their mentality. Dave,
all right.
What it comes down to is
done with you, AJ.
Listen, you're putting too much on the corner when it should be the ref.
It's like getting hot outside. Freddie and I are just done with you. We just had enough. I don't know what you're saying.
You guys, man, are on crack. I'm telling you, it's the ref.
Off, AJ. If anybody's smoking crack, it's you, AJ, over there with your hot dog head.
Jones.
This ain't crack.
John Jones.
Yeah, it's not crack.
What is that?
What is that, Fred? What do you have?
De La Haze.
Look at this. It's called
that?
Unplug. It's pretty damn sweet.
Never tried it.
It's good. And I have this too. Marley Green. Wabap.
Never tried it either.
It's pretty good.
What were you going to say about my hat? You were going to call it a hot dog hat?
Yeah.
You know who this is?
It's an Expos hat that you got for buying like 6 packs of hot dogs. You get a free hat, right? That's a hat, right? You got it for buying hot dogs. It's a hot dog hat.
So what?
I don't know. I just think you weren't but it's true, right? You bought like 6 packs of hot dogs. They gave you a free hat. I saw that thing in the grocery store.
I got 2 hats, by the way, out of it. So, anyways.
Okay. Let me tell you about our friends over at Stitcher. How about that? How about I do a little ad for everybody, okay? We're going to talk to you about Joe Rogan and his $100 million deal and why I think it might be the wrong move for the Joe Rogan show. We'll talk about that in a second. But before, we'll tell you about our friends over at Stitcher. Of course, you can watch us on YouTube, but you can listen to us over on Stitcher. All of our podcasts are there. Many of you have been using Stitcher to stream or download our shows, Wrestling Uncensored, Ringside Report MMA. Stitcher offering you the Ringside Report universe as part of their sponsorship of our work, a special offer on the premium version of their service. Now, besides all of our shows, you can listen to over 100,000 podcasts on your iPhone, Android, tablet, PC, Amazon Echo device, or in your car on demand, ad-free. With Stitcher Premium, Joe Rogan Experience is there, but act fast because on September 1st, he won't be anymore. You'll get Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. Just $4.99 a month, $34.99 a year. And when you sign up right now using the promo code RINGSIDE, you get a free month. Stitcher.com/premium, promo code RINGSIDE for a free month of Stitcher Premium. Sign up today. You heard me?
It was awesome, Dave. You sold me.
Okay, well, I'm going to sell you again. I'm going to get rid of you. I'm going to make you vanish for IP Vanish. Now, these days, security on the internet is a major concern. Identity fraud, theft, privacy. Hackers are at home now with time in their hands, and they've got nothing better to do than to try and attack. Hackers spending their days lurking to find someone to hack. They can get your stored information, passwords, credit card info. Keep them out with IP Vanish. We're happy to announce that all month of May, IP Vanish will be offering a 30-day money-back guarantee. This is a risk-free period that will allow you more time to evaluate IP Vanish. So sign up right now, vpn.ringsidereport.net. We need you to stay healthy and secure. That's why we recommend what we use, IP Vanish, vpn.ringsidereport.net. And if you sign up for a subscription that will include a 7-day money-back guarantee using our link, the Ringside Report Network will receive a small commission that will help us produce more content. Remember, vpn.ringsidereport.net. Support the Ringside Report Network and help us produce more content. We've got so much content this weekend, guys. So much action. We've got Dave and Johnny live tomorrow. Do you want to see me cry on YouTube? It might happen tomorrow when I talk about the death of Owen Hart.
I can't wait. Oh, this is going to be beautiful.
Don't make fun of me if I start crying, okay? I asked my girlfriend earlier. I asked my girlfriend earlier. I said, what do you think about tears on YouTube? And she's like, what? I'm like, well, look, I'm going to talk about Owen Hart on Dave and Johnny Live this week, and it's hard for me to really get into that story without tearing up and choking up a little bit. I almost cried when we were talking about Chris Benoit. Like, I almost was there, but I held myself back. I went to Johnny Northcam, and I actually took myself off video so I could kind of compose myself and let Johnny talk for a second because I was about to burst into tears talking about Chris Benoit. And if I start talking about Owen Hart tomorrow and the story and his family and his wife and his kids, I don't know. I think I might lose it a little bit. So hopefully I don't. Hopefully I don't cry on YouTube because that would be embarrassing. But I might. So tune into Dave and Johnny Live tomorrow. Maybe you'll see me cry. How about that? Never seen that before.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Johnny's going to come over this time and he's going to hug you. Johnny, if you're listening, hug Dave tomorrow.
That would make me cry. That in itself. I don't want that. I don't need that. He's sweaty.
And he's oily.
Unless it's Dana White making you cry, I don't want to see you cry.
What? Listen, I'll cry, man. Dana White wants to give us some money.
It did wonders for some people's career.
Yeah, now he's on ESPN, right? Fuck off, eh? And
you better start crying tomorrow, Dave.
So there's one vote for cry, one vote for no cry. I
want to see you cry, Dave. I want to see it, man. Think of the ratings. Think of the ratings.
Hey, where's my sound effect? Antoinette just dropped a super chat, but I didn't hear the super chat sound effect.
Yeah, what is that super chat?
Last week also it wasn't there.
Oh, where's our? I'll talk to our production team. They'll get the super chat sound back on. Antoinette says she says I will cry with you and also cry for Shad. So sad. Yes, Shad Gaspard. We'll talk about that on Wrestling Uncensored this week. Such a horrible story. Oh my God, so horrible. The undertow of a wave took him in and his 10-year-old son. The lifeguards passed him, and he said, go save my son. They saved his son. And they couldn't find Shad after, and they found his body. He passed away. It's just horrible. Just horrible. Very sad about Shad. The whole week for wrestling fans, guys, has been really rough. The Shad news was just devastating, and then we see the Owen Hart documentary with Martha and the kids, and it was just like, oh, it was a sad time this week. I was pretty sad all week with wrestling. Wrestling news, wrestling fans have had a rough one. Hopefully AEW Double or Nothing brings us some joy on Saturday. We'll be doing a watch-along for that Saturday night, 8 p.m., the whole pay-per-view. I'll be here. My brother will be here. Maybe Fred and AJ. I don't know. Fred, you going to watch Double or Nothing on Saturday?
Maybe, man. I'm down.
Guys,
just see if there's not NASCAR that's conflicting with it, though.
Do you guys? Oh, okay. Do you guys want to debut a new sponsor? Because we can. Yeah, sure. I just got the okay. We have a new sponsor.
Go.
What? Spit it out, Dave. Spit it out. Start crying or something. The hell, man?
I'm not going to start crying.
Talking about crying.
I want to tell you, you can stop the tears, okay? No more tears. What? No more tears. I know a lot of you guys out there, you have problems with your...
What? Don't tell me Prozac. We're getting sponsored by Prozac.
How should I put this?
Oh.
Balls. They're too hairy. You got a lot of hair on your balls. You got ball stink. Some guys have ball stink. There's a lot of problems out there with men and the personal grooming. Your balls, your ball area hair. And now, for our friends over at Manscaped, you can help your problem and you can save yourself and shave yourself. Okay? That's right. Look at that. Clean as a whistle. Just like Freddie and AJ. You want to be clean as a whistle? You need to go to manscaped.com. Go check them out right now. Manscaped.com. The best for below-the-waist grooming. When manscaping, always use the right tools for the job. Look at all these products. They've got the Lawnmower 2.0. Now, we are actually going to get our hands on some of these products very soon. They're shipping them out to us, so we're going to be able to give you some first ball experience. Look at this. Ball deodorant, ball toner, hair and body wash. That's amazing. Fantastic. The Crop Cleanser, the Crop Reviver, and the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant. These are things that you need in your life. You need Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. They have a Canadian site right now, and they are now proud sponsors of the Ringside Report Network.
Bravo.
So thank you to Manscaped. Welcome to the program. The discount code, manscaped.com, promo code ringside20, and you get 20% off and free shipping.
What? That is amazing.
All right?
Let the balls drop. Dave,
So
take it easy. Don't get there.
How about that? Manscaped.com. Go there, use promo code ringside20, and you get 20% off your order plus free shipping. Promo code ringside20, manscaped.com. Scape yourself.
Wow.
Take care of your balls. Your partner will thank you.
Today I was talking with my girlfriend about.
Go ahead, Fred.
I was talking to my girlfriend about this Joe Rogan deal, and I'm going to her. I go, like, he pretty much started with Fleshlight as his first sponsor. And you see, if Manscaped is our first sponsor and it leads us to $100 million, man, I'm going to go back and say thank you, Manscaped.
Well,
thank you for believing in us.
They're not our first sponsor. We did have two other reads that I just did.
Dave, if we get $100 million, I'll go with Johnny and we'll kiss the Manscaped ball. I'll kiss his balls.
So if we get $100 million, you'll kiss Johnny North's balls?
Johnny, you better be prepared, man. If we make $100 million, because I know Johnny would.
How about 100,000 retweets on Twitter?
Done.
Really?
I'll do it live.
Really? Wait.
It won't be on YouTube.
Wait. What? Holy shit. If you get 100,000 retweets, John won't allow it anyway, so forget it.
John will do it. John's a wrestler.
Johnny North.
He was ready to shave his ball. He came in with a ball clipper on your show.
This is major. If we could get 100,000 retweets, you're saying that you would kiss Johnny North's balls? That's crazy, man. That's insane.
Listen, the things I'll do for the ratings.
I don't think Johnny would agree to it. So until Johnny agrees to it, I'm not going to put out the tweet. I'm not going to put out the tweet, but I am intrigued because I want to see you embarrass yourself like this. My
AJ's going to get embarrassed. Do you forget what AJ did on the streets of Montreal?
I'll tell you what. When we get to that bet, Johnny will have clean as a whistle balls because of manscaped.com, because Johnny North is going to go to manscaped.com. He's going to use the promo code ringside20. He's going to get 20% off his order, and he's going to get free shipping. Who's better than you? Free shipping, 20% off your order, manscaped.com, promo code ringside20. Sign up right now. Okay, and help the Ringside Report Network. This is what we want you to do right now. Help the Ringside Report Network. Sign up to our sponsors, Stitcher, IPVanish, and now manscaped.com, promo code ringside20. Woo! AJ did a little bit of work. You did a little bit of work for that sponsorship, AJ. I did most of the work, once again, as it always is on Ringside Report.
What?
Yeah, there was a little bit of legwork on that for my end.
First of
AJ.
all, you can say, Dave.
Thank you,
listen.
AJ. Good job, AJ. You're the best.
Listen. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much, David Simon. Listen, I was gonna say you didn't even mention the commercial. They have probably the best commercial on the market. I love that commercial. I must have watched it at least 7-8 times. It's so funny.
We just gave them the best commercial on the market. I just did that.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
You talked about kissing somebody's balls. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, if they want to make a commercial on pro wrestling and Johnny North's balls, man, it's done.
Nice and shiny.
This is a little bit of a peach fuzz. It's got that Parisian feel. But
you got the before, I got the after.
I'll tell you what. We make $100 million like Joe Rogan. I'll show my balls. All right, on YouTube.
That'll do for YouTube.
Listen,
yeah. Well, whatever. We'll have $100 million. Who needs to be on YouTube when we got 100 mil? Fuck YouTube. We'll be rich,
for $20,
bro.
man.
$20 to show your balls? What the fuck?
Listen, I have to kiss balls at least 100 million, man. Especially Johnny's balls. He's not a small guy. He's a heavyweight. You think it's easy? You think it's easy to get ratings, Dave? You think it's easy? Well, Manscaped, thank you very much.
I find it interesting that the size of the balls depend on how much you want to kiss them. I think that's strange, but okay, we'll move on. May 23rd was supposed to be a UFC fight night. It's now being moved to May 30th. Dana White says he's trying to get it in the state of Nevada. If they can't do it in Nevada, it's going to be in Arizona. But Tyron Woodley and Gilbert Burns are going to headline that event. That's a pretty solid
That's
fight
solid,
night.
man.
That's a good
Oh,
main
yeah.
event. Other fights on that card: Augusto Sakai against Blagoy Ivanov. Hey AJ, get excited! Mackenzie Dern.
Mackenzie
Dern. She's gonna
I
fight
need a
Hannah
Manscaped.
Seifers. Get
Now
your
I need
Manscaped
Manscaped.
out. Tim
will.
Elliott against Brandon Royval. Casey Kenny against Louis Smolka. Antonina Shevchenko against Caitlin Chukagian. Antonina's
That'll be
Valentina's sister. Roosevelt Roberts, whoever that is fighting Brock Weaver. I like his name.
Theodore.
Roosevelt Roberts.
Oh.
Roosevelt. All right, guys. Joe Rogan.
Let's get to
$100
it.
million. How do we do this? How? I
Kiss
mean,
somebody's
obviously,
balls, I'll tell you.
I don't know. I mean, I think we need to be. One of us has to be a stand-up comedian. I think we need to do that. I'm not getting Brendan Schaub on the show. I'm not doing that for $100 million. All right, forget that. Rogan is
What are you
signing
talking about?
Brendan.
We're funnier.
Yeah, then Brendan Schaub for sure. He's like, so he's got a comedy special on Showtime, and I'm like, this guy's supposed to be funny. I watched 2 minutes of it. I was like, yeah, this is
What?
This is not.
AJ's funny. What are
it's
you
not so
talking
good.
about?
No, AJ, you're funny. I'm saying you're funnier than Brendan Schaub. I'd give you a
Has
Showtime
anybody seen
special
my-
over Brendan Schaub.
Listen.
That guy is not funny.
Why don't you just show my video of GSP running the streets? I think that's worth like money.
That wasn't that funny. That was just weird.
What are you talking about, man? Wally
So,
loved it. He flew
Joe
from Ireland
Rogan-
to see it.
Joe Rogan signed a deal, $100 million with Spotify, to bring his
Good
podcast
for him.
to the exclusive home. It's going to be only on Spotify starting September 1st. So the Joe Rogan Experience, September 1st, only on Spotify, and they're giving him $100 million for this. Now, we are on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google, name a podcasting platform, we are there. We're at ringsidereport.net. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're trying to be as accessible as possible. Somebody gives me $100 million. I will take that $100 million and I will put my thing on Pornhub. I don't give a shit. You want to put I don't care what platform wants us. Yeah, we'll do it balls out on Pornhub, okay? If you want 3 guys sitting around naked talking about MMA as a show, Ringside Report naked for $100 million, yes, I will do it. No fucking problem, Pornhub. You want to do that? Send me the money, right? You guys are all down to do a nude version of this show for $100 mil. I mean, $100 mil cut 3 ways. It's like it's actually $20 mil a piece for you guys, and I get the rest. Don't worry about the math. on that.
What?
It's fine. No, it's fine.
It's
How
so-
many
yeah,
years
I'm
we
in.
gotta do that? Because I'm
The
not
rest of
sure,
your
like
life?
in 30 years, anybody wants to see us naked in 30
Too bad.
years.
Like
Too bad.
shriveled balls. Maybe
Too
not,
bad.
but You're right, Freddie.
Then for the first 30 years of the deal, they're winning. But for the last 30 years of the deal, we're winning because we have to show our old balls to everybody. And then we can get male enhancement sponsors at that point, and we can test it live while we're doing the show, right? We could take like the John Jones pills and then see what happens to our genitals. Okay, this is
So what are we
devolving.
gonna do?
Joe
Drive
Rogan.
a sports car and shoot at homeless people? Are you kidding?
No. It was an SUV, AJ, not a sports car.
No,
So Joe
it
Rogan.
was a sports car.
All right, 100. I don't think so. Did you see the police thing?
It was a sports car, man.
All right. Joe Rogan signed a $100 million deal. Now, that's pretty major. But, I listen to Joe Rogan's show sometimes. I used to listen more than I do now. I feel like his show was different before. I don't know what it is now, but I don't listen to it as much.
Don't be a hater, Dave. Come on.
I don't think it's really Joe Rogan that's changed. I think it's just there are other podcasts out there, and I'm more willing to listen to them rather than Joe Rogan. Like, I'd rather listen to Jim Ross than Joe Rogan these days, right? So that's what I'm going to. I'm going to JR instead of the other JR, right? Joe Rogan, I'll take Jim Ross. I'll take Chris Jericho over Joe Rogan. So that's what I'm listening to.
What?
I'll take Giuseppe Valiante from Irreparable Damage, irreparabledamageshow.com over Joe Rogan, right? I'm taking other podcasts over the Joe Rogan show.
Lebitard show.
Exactly. That guy, whatever. All these people I'd rather listen to than Joe Rogan. I listen to Joe Rogan sometimes, but I don't listen as often as I used to. When I do listen to Joe Rogan, I listen to him on my iPhone, okay? On Apple Podcast, in September, he won't be there anymore. So I won't be able to get him there. The other way I watch Joe Rogan is on YouTube. I think a lot of people consume Joe Rogan through YouTube. He's not going to be on YouTube anymore starting September 1st. That's massive. That's massive. Now,
that's good for us. What are you talking about?
Well, it's good for us because fewer people will be watching Joe Rogan. More people will be watching us on YouTube because Joe won't be on YouTube. But I'm saying for my personal consumption of the Joe Rogan experience, September 1st, I'm done. Because I'm not a big enough super fan of Joe Rogan to go and download Spotify. I don't have Spotify. I don't have a Spotify account. I don't have nothing. Now, you download Spotify, the Joe Rogan experience is free. It's free, right? You can get it off Spotify. It's just you have to get the app to get Joe Rogan. And for me, unless Joe Rogan does some sort of great interview with some MMA fighter that I must hear, I'm not going to go download that Spotify app just to go and find Joe Rogan. Now, he'll probably do some big interviews in September to bring people over, and I'll get it, and I'll have the app, and I'll listen to it, and then I'll be done, and I won't go back. And I think that long term...
That's pretty much what you're doing right now, though.
What do you mean?
Good point, Freddie. Good point.
Well, I mean, you don't listen to everything. You listen to what you want to listen, and what you want to listen, you figure out how to listen to it.
Sometimes I will peruse the podcasting app. No, it's not true. Like when I'm done a podcast, I'm going to go to my old faithful podcast to see what's up. I'll go to Chris Jericho. Is there a new Jericho episode? No. Is there a new JR episode? No. Is there a new Joe Rogan? Let's see what Joe Rogan's been talking about recently, and I'll look through it and be like, oh, Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan. Let's see what kind of crazy shit that fucking crackpot has to say. Yeah, but you see, Fred, I am looking at Joe Rogan because he's already in an app on my phone in the podcasting app. But if he's not in my phone, if he's not on the app, well, I won't even take him as an option.
So let me sell you on this, okay? Ooh. I'm gonna be one day. I'm gonna tweet you or message you, and then I'm gonna go. You gotta watch this Alex Jones on Joe Rogan. You're gonna download it, man. Alex Jones on Joe Rogan. You're gonna tell me you're not gonna download that?
Of course,
man. It's Alex Jones on Joe Rogan.
But I don't know about you guys. Like once you download the app, I have a lot of apps on my phone that like disappear because my phone is like overflowed. Do you ever have that where you have? I don't know if you guys have iPhones. I have an iPhone and there's too much stuff in my storage. I gotta clean it up. So like apps have to re-download when I want to use them. So I like the Spotify app will just phone. Yeah, but the Spotify app will just get trashed. I'll never use it again. Yeah, I'll listen to Alex Jones and Joe Rogan. Who doesn't want to hear Alex Jones? The guy's crazy. I love it. But past that, I don't know. I think, for Joe Rogan, great move. $100 million, I would do anything for $100 million. I just offered to do a porno show where we talk about MMA and we're naked for $100 million. I obviously can be bought and sold. Spotify offers me $100 million to be on their platform exclusively. Easily, I'll do that. Of course. If they offered me $5 million, I'd probably do it. I mean, come on, guys. $5 million? You're saying we wouldn't do it? We would take $5 million to be exclusive for Spotify today. But I don't think that the future of Ringside Report would be that bright. I think we'd take the money up front, but long term, I don't know. People said the same thing. People said the same thing though about Howard Stern when he went to Sirius Satellite Radio. They said it would never work. It was a terrible move. No one would ever follow him, and he'd disappear. Years later, he's made hundreds of millions of dollars. He's still very popular, and people have him everywhere. So I might be wrong. I just feel like as a podcaster, as a consumer of podcasts, I feel like Joe Rogan will not be in my everyday rotation where he normally would be. I think he's going to be out of my rotation, and if he's out of my rotation, he's going to be out of a lot of other people's rotations. I hope that Ringside Report and Wrestling Uncensored are the only podcasts in your rotation, goddammit. Forget about Joe Rogan.
First of all, I'm on Spotify, and I love Spotify. I use it. I listen to Ringside Report. I'm listening to all kinds of different shows that I love, and you know what? Joe Rogan is smart. And what's going to happen here is that there's over 286 million active users on Spotify. 286 million. When Joe Rogan goes there for $100 million, whatever he decides to push, people are going to listen. So you know what? What it does is that it changes the table for YouTube as well, where YouTube is going to have to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more generous in the amount of podcasters that are out there with quality content, like ourselves, Ringside Report. We've got it all. You want comedy, you want analytics, you want like whatever. We're way better than the rest of those turkeys. But the thing is,
turkeys.
It changes the platform, which is great. Joe Rogan has changed the level of podcasting, and you know what? I think he did a great move. Other people will disagree, but it's not that hard. You download Spotify, so you listen to some ads. Big freaking deal. You still get ads when you listen to YouTube, and you pay like what, $12 a month? $12 is like somebody was saying like 2 freaking Starbucks coffees a week. Who gives a shit? Or maybe even 1. It doesn't cost that much.
Whoa!
And you know what?
It
right,
costs money.
Joke, man,
like
I'm
you
serious.
have to pay to get Spotify. I don't understand.
Because Spotify
free.
has a subscription service
for
where
music.
You don't have the ads.
Oh, where you
so
don't have the
ads or no ads. But who cares? You can still listen to Rogan free.
There's going to be ads on Joe Rogan now. Is it going to be the ads that he reads, or going to be like extra ads that you can't skip? Can you skip the ads?
I don't know, man. But you know what? What Rogan said is that nothing's going to change on the content of his show. He's keeping the same staff. He still has creative edge. And you know what? Who cares? And I'm sure he's going to have selective ads that he's going to put in. He's Joe Rogan, man.
All right, guys. He's Joe Rogan. I'm Dave.
Let's hope
he's AJ.
We're Ringside Report.
He's
the
Freddie.
second best show in North America.
The #1 best show in North America. What are you talking about? Who are we second to? Joe Rogan?
100 million, man. Of course. We just lost to Joe, for sure, man. But we got Manscaped. Don't forget that.
I want some millions of dollars. I want to shout out Patrick C. Hamilton. He says he doesn't want the T-shirt. So we're going to send the other one to somebody else. All right, AJ? How about that? Thank you for the Super Chat.
Next week's show.
Yeah, thank you for the Super Chat, Patrick Hamilton. Thank you, Antoinette, for the Super Chat. Thank you to everybody supporting the Ringside Report Network. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to Matt Kazama for joining us, our boxing expert. Follow him at MCAZ, M-C-A-Z. MCAZ, M-C-A-Z on Twitter. Matt Kazama, a good man. You could follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. You could follow AJ at Danny Bruck. Follow Freddie at Freddie MMA. Freddie showing off his cool grinder that he's got. I know what that is, Freddie.
No, he had a hockey puck.
That's not a hockey puck. It's a weed grinder, you fuck.
It looks like a hockey puck. I was going to be like, what the hell do you have a hockey puck?
You're a hockey puck. I
me
love
and
you,
Johnny
AJ.
Me and Johnny, oiled down.
Okay, well, you keep fantasizing about that, and maybe we'll make it happen. RingsideReport.net. RingsideReport.net. In the meantime, Dave and Johnny live tomorrow. We'll be talking about the Owen Hart Dark Side of the Ring. And we'll also be previewing AEW Double or Nothing. We'll talk WWE on Wrestling Uncensored Saturday morning for the premiere at 11 a.m. And then Saturday night, our Double or Nothing AEW watch-along, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the YouTube channel. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and when you subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications every time that we are on. For AJ and Freddie,
Dave.
I'm Dave, and this has
been...
So
much passion. So much passion.
This has been Ringside.
Give your balls.
Port.
Port.